I swear, Summerween feels like a holiday. It is day 1 of Summerween. This is a readathon hosted by Gabby from Gabby Reads, and it is a week long where we are just bringing Halloween to the summertime. There are 5 prompts. I have big ambitions. I have a couple options for each of the prompts, so I'm gonna go through and tell you what they are. And then we'll just be hanging out celebrating Summerween together. This vlog is days 1, 2, and 3, and then I will have a second vlog for days 4, 5, 6, and 7. I have some really exciting books lined up. Also in July, I am co-hosting the Tarot Readathon. I'll have all the information linked for that in the description, but I'll also be pulling tarot cards so that all of the books that I read for Summerween will get me points for the Tarot Readathon as well. So the first 2 prompts are kind of more vague, and they are to read a book in the dark and to read a horror or thriller. So I have some different options for these. I definitely need to get to the Marriage Act for my Patreon read along, and my Patreon book club is reading The Return of Ellie Black in July, so I also need to get to this one. So those are high priorities. I have 2 library books, a book that I got this year, and then a short story collection that has been on my TBR for a long time. So the first card that I pulled is to read a book that has scientific elements in it. So that works perfectly for the Marriage Act. We're doing a John Mars read along on my Patreon. There's 1 book a month, and this is the July pick. So I will be getting to the Marriage Act. And then I also got a card to read a book that I thought I would never read. And I don't want to read something that I truly think that I would never read, but I am gonna read Dark Cities. This is edited by Christopher Golden, and I've had this for a really long time. I just keep putting it off because there's no audiobook. After getting this, found that I don't really love short story collections that are from multiple authors. So I'm gonna prioritize it. My plan is to kind of break this up. I think there are 20 stories, and I want to split it kind of evenly throughout the entire week. So I will be getting to this one. So out of the other ones, 3 of the 4 fit other prompts. The Lies We Told does not, so I will not be getting to that for Summerween. Oh, also, The Hungry Dark doesn't really fit anything else either. So this is the 5th year of Summerween. So this year there's a prompt to read a book with 5 words in the title. So from my shelves, I have 3. The Stranger in Her House by John Mars, The Return of Ellie Black by Emiko Jean, and The Haunting of Blackwood House by Darcy Coates. I think I'm going to hold off on The Stranger in Her House so I'm not reading 2 John Mars books in this week. And I got a tarot card that says to read a book that will bring me joy, and I know that Darcy Coates books will do that. I've read so many of them. I really enjoy her atmosphere. They're not like fun time happy books, but it'll bring me joy. So for this one, I am going to go with The Haunting of Blackwood House. And that kind of works because the more that I think about this, the discussion for this is going to be towards the end of the month, so I think I want to wait and give it some time. Then we have a book with a night sky, and I have a couple options for this one. So I have Dollhouse by John Hunt, The Prettiest Girl in the Grave by Christopher Triana. This made it on my July TBR from my TBR game. Island Witch by Amanda Giatissa, and The Midnight Feast by Lucy Foley. And I got a card that tells me to read a book you unapologetically enjoy, something you know is not a literary masterpiece, but you enjoy anyway. For that, I think pretty easily, I'm going to go with The Midnight Feast. I really, really enjoyed The Paris Apartment, and a lot of people did not. I know the guest list is really popular, but I feel like people's opinions of Lucy Foley really went down because of The Paris Apartment, and I love it. So I feel like this just like really works well for me for that prompt. And this is the Pyramid Book Club pick for July as well, so I'm glad I could fit this in. So this is a Discord book club. I can just chat in the Discord, and it doesn't really matter when I read it throughout the month. So the last prompt is to read a book with a summer setting, and I have 2 books from my shelves that I think pretty clearly worked for this one. I have Nowhere Like Home by Sarah Shepard. This is set in a desert in like a cult community. And The Woodkin by Alexander James. This is like a nature trail horror. And the last tarot card prompt that I got is to read a book that has a journey. So I think The Woodkin works really well for that. Like, he's literally hiking. So that makes a lot of sense to me. So this is going to be my TBR for Summerween. I am going to be keeping this stack aside for if I end up DNFing anything as well. I don't know what to start with now. I'm kind of thinking one of these 2. I've decided to start with The Haunting of Blackwood House by Darcy Coates. I have read at least 12 books by her. So lucky number 13. I'm pretty sure it is 12 because I think I own all the ones that I've read except for Craven Manor. That sounds pretty accurate. And I'm really liking this one so far. So we are following Mara, and she grew up in this spiritualist community. Her parents are very much believers, and early on in her life she gets like proof that the people that are coming into her house are faking it, and she hates the community. And now she is engaged and is moving out of her apartment, and she really wants to get a house of her own. And the house she was going to see was bought, and then the realtor's like, well, there's this one, but like you don't want it. And she goes to look at Blackwood house, and it is a pretty run down old abandoned house, but she pretty immediately feels this like connection to it, and it is within her price range, and she decides she's going to get it. So we are following Mara, and Neil is her fiance that is helping her out with like getting all of this together. They don't live together or anything. Also, there's some murders that happened in this house. It was the last house of a known serial killer. There's the murder of the original owner, and things have changed, and people are reporting strange shadows in the halls, doors creaking open by themselves, voices in the night, and watchful eyes. But she does not really believe anything. She feels that there is a reasonable explanation for anything. I am really liking the setup. I think it's a lot of fun. They're also doing some like home renovations, which I am enjoying. Yeah, I'm really liking this one. I'd love to be able to get through the rest of this today, but I'm also reading another book that's not for Summerween that I need to get through, and also I have a Patreon watch along of the one by John Mars. I didn't know it was on Netflix, and as soon as I found it, I was like, we're doing this, we're watching it together. So I'm really excited for that. We're starting the first 2 episodes tonight, but so far so good. Like, I'm really having a great time with this, and I'm excited to continue reading later. It is 7 o'clock, and I have made it about 70% into The Haunting of Blackwood House, and I just have to say, if there's a thing that, how do I say this without spoilers? There's a relationship in here, and if things happen like I'm assuming they're gonna happen after this point, I'm gonna be angry. That's it. So there is a very prominent relationship in this book. Like, it's fine. I don't have any like specific issues with it, but also it doesn't feel like a real relationship. And also, a lot of the complaints about this book is that our main character, Mara, is so stupid and annoying and, like, valid. I get why she reacts the way she reacts a lot, but also, at a certain point, you can't just, like, act like nothing is wrong. And that's what she's doing. But I am still liking it. I don't know. I feel like maybe 3.5 stars at this point. But a lot of it has felt like her relationship with Neil, which, once again, fine. And a decent amount of her books definitely do have a romantic relationship in it, but I think that this story could have been so cool if there was more focus on the supernatural ghost stuff and like the backstory of everything versus the relationship and how she is handling things. I like it to an extent because of the issues with her family and like growing up with spiritualism being like her family's religion and very extreme. But like, I need to see that in ways other than just how she like yells at people and gets angry really easily. I'm still enjoying it though. Like, there hasn't been a Darcy Coates book that I absolutely did not like. I'm not going to have time to finish it before my watch along, but I still should be able to finish it afterwards because we're only watching 2 episodes, so we should be done around like probably 10:45. I'm going to listen to a little bit more while I work on my Christmas diamond painting that I just got out because I've already done my Halloween ones and I don't want to buy another one when I still have this and then another Christmas one. But I'm planning on wrapping this book up tonight, and then I think tomorrow I'm going to start The Marriage Act, which I'm super excited about, especially after watching the one TV show tonight. Very excited. Hello, it is Saturday. It's like almost 7 p.m. It has been not like a day, but things have not gone how I expected them to. So I woke up and I was just so tired because I was up pretty late last night reading. And then I've been trying to prioritize going on walks more. I have a dog, Bowser, and we have a yard for him to run in, so he definitely is able to like get exercise, but he really loves walks. It's just being physically active is a lot of work, but I'm trying to prioritize it both for him and myself. But we're in a heat advisory, and I was like, so I really struggled to make myself do that. But we did go. We went for 25 minutes around the neighborhood. It was good, but also I literally lost all of the energy that I had. Like, it was bad. So made lunch and then took a pretty long nap, and then I did finish, where's my book? Oh, The Haunting of Blackwood House. I think I am going to give this 3.5 stars. I liked the direction that it went in, and my complaint from earlier was, I still stand by my complaint, but things happened in a way that made sense and like I was okay with. I think that my issue with this one is it had so much potential to like be really creepy and have a lot of like dark backstory, and like it did have dark backstory, but I think that could have impacted things in a different way and made it a little bit more interesting for me. I still really enjoyed it though. I'm glad that I read this. This is the last Darcy Coates book that I own currently, so that means I have to get more for my TBR. Actually, no, I don't. I'm trying to read my physical TBR right now, but later. I have been working on some Instagram pictures. That's like really pretty back there. I did forget to post the Summerween Instagram picture yesterday, so I took a picture of my TBR, posted it today, and then tomorrow I'm going to post one from today, and I'm just going to skip the reel, and then on Monday I will be back on track. So I need to put that away. My first book is done, so I have read a book with 5 words in the title. So this afternoon, while I was napping, I also got the audiobook in for The Marriage Act, so this is going to be my next book. I am like not even 10 pages in, and I am going to switch the prompts for these two. So this is going to be my thriller book that I'm reading, and this is going to be the book that I read in the dark. I have sectioned it out so that I read roughly 1/7 of it every day. I did forget to do that yesterday, so tonight I need to read the first 118 pages. Pfft, good luck to me, because I have a lot of editing to do for another video. I'm trying to really work on editing as I go, but for that other video, that does not happen. Tomorrow, we are going to my parents' house to help on a project that we decided to help my dad with for Father's Day. That was like a month ago at this point, but this weekend was the first weekend that we were all available, me and my siblings, to help out with that. So he's been getting stuff to like make a big fire pit area in his backyard, so we're going to be doing that. So we have to go do that in the morning. There's a heat advisory, so we're trying to get there pretty early, do that, and then my sisters and I are doing our nails. So I really need to get a lot done tonight so that I'm not completely behind on everything in my life. I'm excited to really get into The Marriage Act. I have high hopes for this one. I feel like it's going to make me angry, but you know, it is what it is. Like, marriage is the law, and like, what if you disobey? Ugh. And then there are 4 couples who are about to discover how impossible relationships can be when the government is monitoring every aspect of our personal lives. I'm just like stressed thinking about this book. Like, John Mars is so good at tension, so I'm really excited to get into this one. I'm currently on sprints for the Tarot Readathon right now. I did log this for the Tarot Readathon as well. And then I have my card for this one. So, very excited for this. I'm also excited for this. My plan for this is if I'm not enjoying a story pretty early on, I'm just going to skip to the next one, since I have since found that I'm not a huge fan of short story collections like this. So I'm going to get to reading. I also need to finish up another book tonight, so I'm hoping to get to a third in this tonight, and then get to my pages in this, and then I'll finish this tomorrow. That would be ideal, but we'll see how well I am at accomplishing my goals, because usually I'm bad at sticking to schedules I make for myself. It is Sunday night. Today was not longer than anticipated, but whenever I got home from doing all the stuff with my family, I had a really bad headache, so I was like down for the count for a little bit, and then when I was feeling better, I had a little bit of editing to do, and then at that point it was dark, so I started in on Dark Cities. You know, I was supposed to read 1/7 each day. That did not happen. I forgot on Friday, and then last night I just had a lot of other stuff that I had to do. So I read these stories for the first 2 days, and then tomorrow I'm going to be reading today's and tomorrow's, and then after that I will just have to do one little section. That will be in the next video because this is the last day of this vlog, but I am continuing and I'm doing the other vlog for days 4, 5, 6, and 7. How would you recommend talking about a short story collection where the first story, called The Dogs, deals with sexual assault by something that may or may not be in the title of that story to a human? That was interesting. So yeah, I think I've read 5 stories at this point. So I've read The Dogs by Scott Smith, In Stone by Tim Levin, The Way She Is with Strangers by Helen Marshall, and We'll Always Have Paris by M.R. Carey, which puts me 119 pages in so far. I didn't really like any of these stories. The first one is the whole dog situation, and then after that, they're kind of boring so far. I have not read from any of these authors before. I contemplated reading a book by Scott Smith, but then I very quickly realized that I don't want to do that. Since getting this, I have read from other authors, but not until like the last couple. So I have to get to page 235 to read from an author I've read from before. And like in theory, this is good to introduce me to other authors, but like not if I'm not liking the stories. So kind of what I'm doing is reading the first couple pages. After that, if I'm not loving it, like in a short story, the first couple pages should draw me in. That has not happened yet. Well, I guess the dog one did, but I don't really want to talk about that at all. There's the dog story, and then there's one of this person grieving. It's called In Stone, and seeing faces in stones around the cities. Oh, this is a short story collection edited by Christopher Golden, and it's all like horror stories about cities. So that's the concept. The Dogs was a sex worker who met somebody on Craigslist, and then there's that whole other situation. In Stone, I told you about. Then there's The Way She Is with Strangers by Helen Marshall. It's about somebody and her daughter, and it's like not very exciting. Like that one was truly so boring. And then there's We'll Always Have Paris by M.R. Carey, and I know a lot of people like this one. The writing was a little weird for me, and it's just pretty much a murder mystery solving. There's a serial killer. There's zombies that have happened. I don't know. It's kind of strange. So that is how this is going. Not very well by all standards. I am honestly not looking forward to reading any more of this. I am contemplating just reading the ones from the authors that I've read and liked from before. That's just sounding really significantly more appealing than reading more stories like this. This does not have a very high average rating. I am a little sad that I'm reading it for Summerween, but I owned it, it's on my shelves, and it's hard to completely DNF a collection of short stories because, like, what if one of them is better? But I really need to be, like, reading the first 2 pages, and if it's not something I like, just move on to the next one. I think I'm going to do that, actually. So that will be my plan moving forward. Once again, those will all be in the next video. I have also started The Marriage Act by John Mars. My book is over there. I started the audiobook in the car on the way to my parents' house. On the way back, I fell asleep. But I'm only like 10% in, so my goal is to get to a third in tonight, and then the rest of it will be in the next video. I anticipated having way more time to read today. I thought I would read in the car on the way there and back, but that just didn't end up happening, and then my headache really ruined all my plans. Also, my nails are done. I just did this nude color. They're not great. My sisters and I are slowly working on trying to do dip powder, so that is a journey. I'm excited to get back into The Marriage Act, though. This is the forth in the one series. It's not a series, but it's kind of a series. Like, they're all completely different plot lines, but they're all in the same world. As someone who is married, the idea of society, like, forcing people to get married, no, I hate it. It's been very interesting so far. It starts off with a gruesome scene of a social media influencer, like the biggest one in the country, has supported the marriage act and is like harassed so bad that she ends up doing a live stream and ending her life. And then we are following different people who are related to the marriage act in different ways and seeing how relationships are impacted by that. So very interesting stuff. I'm excited to get further into it. So I'll see you in a little bit with more thoughts. I wanted to give you my initial thoughts on the marriage act. I just got to Act 2, which is 116 pages in. And I think this one is really interesting. Like, oh, it's making me angry. There's a lot of discussion in here on influencer and online culture and how people act like people online aren't real people. Even if it's people they know in real life, there's just like something about being online that separates people from others' feelings. And then there's also talks about AI and being monitored for like your own sake, but losing your privacy because of that. So I talked at the beginning about the influencer that dies at the in the very first chapter, and we are following a couple different people. One of them is someone who like desperately wants to be an influencer, but she's a lot older than the typical demographic, and there's conversations around that and her husband like almost making fun of her for wanting to do that. There's also this really creepy guy. Okay, so there's well, if you are part of the marriage act, you sign up for it, you are monitored at all times, and then you get like a marriage score, and these people are watching you, and then if you like get under a certain score, you are put in like level 2, where you need to have an interview with the person that is like monitoring you, and then there's like different levels of it, and this dude is assigned to these two men who are married and is like, he's trying to break them up. So that is juicy. But we are following Corinne and Jeffrey, who is the creepy dude, and Roxy is the one who wants to be an influencer, and Arthur. Oh, also there's Anthony. I do think there's a little bit too much going on, but also we're getting some cool like mixed media elements in here. So there's this like chart at the beginning, but then like here there is an ad for being these relationship responders that kind of watches people and helps them save their marriage and stuff. And it's just this idea that if you are being watched at all times, you'll be a better person, because like, would you hit somebody if you knew that people were watching you, or just like different things like that. And it's so interesting. It like, I don't know, messes with my brain. It's weird because like in theory, yes, there is a chance that like the violence might go down, but also like thinking about having a relationship where someone is monitoring you at all times, it's just weird. It's really strange. Very interesting. I am more interested in Roxy and Jeffrey's perspectives, the influencer and the creepy dude. The other ones are not as interesting to me. Well, the one got interesting like right where I ended. I'm like, sir. But yeah, so far so good. I'm really enjoying it. I still at this point like The Passengers is my favorite out of this companion series, and then right now the one, but I think depending on how this goes, this one could end up maybe beating the one. I'm not sure. So that is all of my reading for days 1, 2, and 3. Everything else will be in my next vlog for the next 4 days. So in that, I will be finishing Dark Cities, and the Marriage Act. And then I'll also be getting to the Paris Apartment and the Woodkin, which are both on my TBR. If I have some extra time, I kind of want to also get to The Prettiest Girl in the Grave by Christopher Triana. This was on my TBR game for July, and I don't have any other plans to get to it, so if I get the chance, I would like to get to this one as well. If you've made it to the end and want to leave me an emoji to say you were here, you can leave me a ring for the Marriage Act. And I will see you very soon with another Summerween video. Bye.